First of all, let's do the unboxing of the NewCon Press summer sale lucky dip. So this section of September's book haul, I've recorded early ahead of the rest of the book haul in a fit of absolute impatience because this has just arrived, and this is an order that I made on the NewCon Press website going back probably a couple of weeks ago now. NewCon Press is a small press publisher here in the UK, and they had a summer sale. Ian wanted to clear some stock, so he had a extremely good offer on, which was 5 books for £4, so less than £1 each, with the caveat that it was a lucky dip, so you don't know what you're getting. And I bought 4 lots of 5, so there should be 20 books in here. So let's see what there is. It's certainly rather well packaged. It's covered in tape, and I'm sure there'll be lots of packing material inside too, just to keep the books in good condition. And these are all hardbacks, and I think I'm right in saying they'll all be signed hardbacks too. Right, well, we might have our first duplicate. I think I'm right in saying, yeah, Crises and Conflicts, which is a collection which I think was to celebrate the 10th anniversary of NewCon Press, but I might be wrong. And this is signed by all of the contributors, so that's very nice. Now I'm pretty sure I already have this. I just can't put my hand on it right now. Well, I finally tracked it down, and I do have 2 copies of this now. I think I paid a few quid for this, but you know, this has only cost me 80p or maybe £1.10 or 15, including postage. So no harm, no foul. So one duplicate out the gate. So this is a short story collection, The Shapes of Strangers by Ian Creasy. And I think this might be an older book. So this is a signed, numbered edition. They're all going to be signed, I think, of number 38 of 50. And I don't know any of Peter Creasy's, is it Peter? No, Ian Creasy's work. So that will be something that I'll enjoy reading at some point. Right, what else have we got? Gary Gibson, which I think is a novella, Devil's Road. I've got several of Gary Gibson's books, but I'm actually yet to read one. So maybe this will be the first one that I read. I think this is is this short stories? Number 76 of just 100 and signed by the author. Tales of Guns, Cars and Kaiju, apparently. So I can't tell if this is, I think it's just a novel. I think it's a novel. Yeah. Apocalyptical, heart-pounding ride that may leave you with a bit of road rash from all the twists and turns. Devil's Road, Johnny Good. I don't have that one. There's a book here by Tade Thompson and Nick Wood, the last Pantheon. I think this has African superheroes. Yeah, this is a story of African superheroes told by African writers. 2 superpowered brothers on opposite sides of the moral divide. Arch enemies both know that the next time they fight will be the last. And this dates back to, and I think Thompson will have done the illustrations. This is number 4 of 60. Because he likes to scribble, does Tade Thompson. And this dates back to 2024, actually, last year. So that's pretty cool. A new one. I read Far From the Light of Heaven by Tade Thompson recently, which I really enjoyed. I coveted this book, Dark Shepherd by Fred Gambino, in the signed hardback, but I didn't want to spend 25 quid on it. So I ended up buying the paperback, which I think I paid £3 or £4 for on Amazon, brand new, which is print on demand, I think. And so I did spend a few quid on that, but this is number 41 of just 100 copies, signed by Fred himself, and this is the first volume in what I think will be a space opera trilogy, and he's better known as an illustrator. So I think this is his first novel. So happy days. I shall pass on the paperback. I happen to know where that one is. So that's untouched. I haven't read it yet. So I can go on the duplicate pile. Then we've got Bird Watching at the End of the World by G.W. Dexter. It's not an author that I know. And it says, if Lord of the Flies had featured girls. So when the world ends, the pupils of Near School for Girls are forced to fend for themselves on an isolated Scottish island with limited resources, no adults and no prospect of rescue. As the only boy present, not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Stephen Ballantyne has to be particularly wary of shifting politics and allegiances as the girls find a way to survive in this new and brutal world. Well, I'm fond of an end of the world tale, so that sounds interesting. And this will be signed as well. Number 31 of just 50 copies. Yep. I'm doing well so far, I think. And this is very good. So this is a novella, Deep Learning by Ren Warren. And so this is one of 4 novellas that NewCon did with a few different authors. And this is the Ren Warren contribution to that set. And this will be signed and numbered as well. So this has actually got a number T. So I think that would have been a spare copy. So it's not one of the numbered limited editions, but never mind. I should cope with that. Then we've got Paul de Filippo. It's interesting. So Paul de Filippo, he of with David Broderick, the compiler of the 101 best novels list that I've been working my way through. So he's an author in his own right, and this is a novella that he's obviously done with NewCon Press called World Shifter. So that's pretty cool. Number 43 of 60. Then we've got The Martian Job by Jane Fenn. Some pretty cool illustrations on it. And the illustrations were done by Jim Burns. Jim Burns does a fair bit of the cover art for NewCon and for PS Publishing as well, actually. This is another one of 4, so I shall want to of the so-called Martian quartet that NewCon did. So I'm gonna need to track down the other 3 if I haven't already got them somewhere in this box. Let's see. And then as another duplicate, slightly disappointing. And actually, I paid about £17 for this only a few weeks ago, so that's a bit annoying. But never mind. I'm sure I'll be able to sell it. So Beasts of Lake Oath by Tom Toner. It's another one of those Robot Dreams novellas. So that's 2 of those I've got now. So I'll just I'll check and see if the number's more desirable. This is number 40. The lower numbers being better, I'm led to believe. And this is number 36, so I shall ditch number 40 and keep number 36. Right, let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, I can tell there's going to be some more. Well, I think they may be short here because I'm sure I'll have to check the order now, but I'm sure I bought 4 sets of 5. Which should be, if my maths is correct, 20 books. But I can only see 1, 2, 3. I'm having a crisis of confidence now. Maybe I didn't order what I thought I ordered. But anyway, let's see. So Universal Language, The Airlocked Room Mystery by Tim Major. An intriguing murder mystery that pays homage to Asimov's seminal robot series and also to the classic detective tale. So that'd be cool. I like those. These are murder mysteries. Number 4 of 60, signed by the author. So this is a short story collection by Ian Waits. I think 18 of his stories, 5 of which are original for this collection. And the introduction is by Ian Watson, and both of them have signed this. And this is, where is it? Number 119 of 150. So that one's not a duplicate, so that's good. And then these next 2 are, I bought this set of 4 that these come from a while back. So that's a bummer. Those can go straight on the duplicate pile. So that's Magson Against the Jugger and Morpho by Philip Palmer. And there's another one that I only bought a couple of weeks ago, just annoyingly, although I only paid £2 or £3 for it, I think, but is The Enclave by Anne Charnock. So it serves me right for being impatient. I should have waited, although I didn't know the summer sale was coming at the time. Never mind. That is also a duplicate. Well, let's do some charity shop finds next. These are few and far between these days for the simple reason that I've got quite a lot of books now, and I'm a bit fussier about condition than I was, going back a couple of years. So the chances of me finding something that I don't already have in really nice condition in a charity shop are just increasingly slim. But there are joys to be had. So I forget where I got this now. I'll put it on the screen. This is the Supernova Era by Sijin Le, of course, the author of The Three-Body Problem, amongst other things. And I think this is a novel. And I think it was originally published in 2004 in China, and then published here in the UK, obviously translated in English in 2019. And I found an Annalene Newitt's book. I've only got one other book of hers, which is The Terraformers, which I haven't yet read. And this one is The Future Over Another Timeline. It's from a few years ago, I think. It might even have been her first novel. There might have been one more before, actually, so maybe her second. And this is from 2019. It's like a parallel world thing. In a world that's just a step away from our own, time travel is possible, but war is brewing, isn't it always? A secret group is trying to destroy women's rights and so on and so forth. And so it's that. And then I feel there's a danger that I may feel obliged to collect this set of, I think it's 75 odd of these. So I keep finding them in the wild, and I've already got a few. But I found in pretty much pristine condition The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard in the Science Fiction Masterworks, the Black Spine editions, which I very much prefer, as regular viewers will know, to the Yellow Spine one. Although it is a smaller set, there are hundreds of the Yellow Spine ones now, and only 70 odd of these. But I don't want 300 odd of the Yellow Spine ones. I don't like them. I don't like the graphic design. Well, I much prefer these, and I think the artwork on the front, which the yellow set often has the same artwork but kind of washed out and a bit more sort of stylized, and they lose the vibrancy that the original artwork had, in my humble opinion. So, The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard. Yeah, I did already have this edition of The Drowned World from Fourth Estate, which is much more recent. I think it's probably only in the last 2012, yeah. So that I will pass on one way or another. And then separately, I found these two together. It's Philip K. Dick, Flow My Tears, The Policeman Said. Again in the Black Spine Science Fiction Masterworks. Very nice condition. And interestingly, I thought these all had numbers on, but Flow My Tears, although it's got a dot where the numbers are, does not have a number. Whereas this other book, which is Brian Aldiss' Non-Stop, it does have a number. So I've actually now got 2 copies of Non-Stop, and whilst I might otherwise have jettisoned one of them, actually the other one is in my Pan Lozenge collection, so that's staying. So I will allow myself 2 copies of this book, just because. So including these 2 plus Drowned World, I now have, I think it's 13 or 14 of these, and so it's quite a lot to go. It's about 60 odd to collect. I am not, he said confidently, going to deliberately seek these out. I'm not going to search for them online or anything like that. But as and when I come across them in the wild and they're in nice condition, then I'm going to pick them up, and I'll gradually build a collection. We'll see how long that lasts. I imagine within about a week or 2, I'll have a fit of impatience and start trying to find them. But anyway, for now, I'm just going to gradually accumulate them. Having enjoyed The Yiddish Policeman's Union by Michael Chabon, and having been recommended the Cavalier and Clay book by the same author, I found this, and for 2 or 3 quid, I thought I might as well get it. It's not really science fiction, I don't think, but I really, really liked his writing. So if his writing in this is anything like as good as it was in The Yiddish Policeman, then I'll happily read that. Whether I keep it on my shelves is another thing. So this is a first edition from. Actually say, yes it does. 2002, for what that's worth. I don't think it's particularly valuable. Having done the NewCon Press Lucky Dip, as you'd have seen, I had several duplicates from the 15 that I had. There were, of the 15, there were 5 duplicates. And I managed to swap one of them already. I mentioned the fact that I had these duplicates on Bluesky, which is sort of Twitter replacement. And one of the people that I chat with from time to time said, I've got these from my PS, from my NewCon Press order, and I happened to spot that he had this book here, which is Paper Hearts by Justina Roberts. And I asked him if he wouldn't mind swapping this for one of my spares. I forget what it was. One in the same set anyway. And so thank you to Paul for agreeing to swap that for me. We just exchanged in the mail these books. So that's so I now have 3 of this set. And there's one to get. I forget which one it is. Let's see. I can't read it. It's too small. According to Kovac by Andrew Bannister is the one that I'm missing. So I'll have to track that down at some point. These are all, like the other NewCon Press ones, these are all signed limited editions. This is number 30 of 50. And then in the spirit of trying to complete sets of novellas, there's this one. There's Parasites by Eric Brown and Keith Brook, which I'm now, I think, missing one. I forget which one it is. Let's see. So I think it's Iterations that I'm missing. So I'll try to track that down. This one is not signed. It's just there were 2 editions, one signed and one unsigned. This is unsigned. It's a little bit easier to track down, or at least less expensive to track down than the signed one. But it's otherwise exactly the same. So it's the printed on the laminated boards and the matching jacket. Very nice book. As I said a number of times before, there's only so many books, as you'll see, where I really need Eric Brown's signature. So I'm not too precious about tracking down the signed ones, particularly because you can often pay £25-30 for what is quite a slender novella. And this, I think, cost me under a tenner. I think I'll put it on the screen as usual. And then I was looking for a copy of The Best of Ian MacDonald, which is a PS Publishing edition of greatest hits of his short fiction. And I really covet the special edition, which has the same book, but signed by Ian MacDonald, and it has an extra book with 5 extra stories in it, and they're both sold in a slipcase. It's numbered, limited edition. I think only 100 copies. And if you want one of those, and they can be found, but they're £175, £200. And much as I like Ian MacDonald, I couldn't quite bring myself to spend that much money. So I was seeking a copy of the just the main book, which I was to say is unsigned. I think it is. Let me check. Yeah, unsigned. But it's otherwise identical with the special edition. It's just not signed, and it's got Jim Burns artwork again printed on the laminated boards, with the exception of those 5 stories in the Floating Dogs, the extra slender volume. I think I now have everything that's been published by Ian MacDonald. So there will be a career overview coming soon when I need to do a bit of research, but I'm really looking forward to that. So Ian MacDonald, I think job done as far as collecting is concerned, although there is still a little piece of me that covets that deluxe edition, which I may not be able to resist. But anyway, while I was looking for that Best of Ian MacDonald, I was a bit lazy in my search. I just put PS Publishing as a publisher and then put Best of, see what came up. And what also came up was the Best of Ian Watson, which is very similar to that one. It's not a special edition. It's not signed, but again, it's Jim Burns artwork, and again, it's on the printed on the laminated boards too. Very nice it is. And this is a collection of Ian Watson short stories, which the ones that they've picked to be included are typically the ones that had the most award nominations, and then Ian Watson insisted on the inclusion of a few of his personal favourites as well. And Ian Watson, somebody whose work I confess I haven't read, so hopefully I'm going to get on with it. But I don't know, 20 plus stories in here. So that's another handsome edition. I think I paid £18 including postage for this one, and £15 including postage for the Ian MacDonald one. So 2 really handsome volumes for not a lot of money. And the Ian MacDonald one, if you search for it online, it would normally cost you about £50. But for some reason, this person had a minimum bid of £15, and nobody else was interested, so I got it for the minimum. So happy days. Right, let's do a World of Book mixed bag. So the beginning of this year, they changed their website so that it was impossible to put a filter on well, you actually could put a filter on format and select hardback, but it would only return 3 or 4 books when they normally have thousands. So there was a glitch on their website, and it meant that I was prevented, therefore, from just browsing all of their hardback science fiction, often 20 or 25 pages of it, to see if there was anything I fancied. Well, so I haven't been back since the beginning of the year because just went out of my head, and it popped into my head. I wonder if they fixed that glitch, and they have. So you can that filter now works again. So I spent a happy 20 minutes just going through their website and selecting a set of 4, which usually means you can get one. Buy 3 get the 4th. Buy 3 books get the 4th for £0. And they're all ostensibly hardbacks, all ostensibly in good condition. So let's start with the best of them, I think. So this is William Gibson's Agency, which is a sort of sequel to The Peripheral, one of his more recent books. I think it's from the mid-teens, I think. Let's have a look. 2020, actually. So I haven't read Peripheral. I have recently read and enjoyed Pattern Recognition, and I have watched the TV series for The Peripheral. So it's set in that same world. And this is actually in really nice condition, so I can't complain. That was a World Books win. And then there's similarly an Alia Whitley Skyward Inn, which is actually a nice Brodart cover. So I haven't covered this myself. It came like this, and I initially thought, oh bloody hell, it's a library book, but it isn't. It's in really nice condition. I think this is relatively recent. Yeah, 2021. I haven't read any of Alia Whitley's books, but I hear good things, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to be my kind of test case for her work, and we'll see. So that's in very nice condition. So far, 2 out of 4 ain't bad, right? And then I saw this, and it's the one that I was missing, so I thought I'm going to, for shits and giggles, I'm going to have to get this so I can read the full set. So it's World War Upsetting the Balance, which I think, if I'm right in saying, is the 3rd book in the set of 4, the original 4. There are another 6, I think, follow-on books. But this story arc is 4 books, and it tells the story of lizard aliens with lasers invading the Earth, smack in the middle of World War II, and forcing the warring humans to band together and fight to defeat the invading aliens. So that's all well and good, but it's seriously spine faded. This spine should be, I think, the same shade of purpley pink as the cover, if the other books are anything to go by, and the kind of colour scheme that they use. And this one has faded out completely to a pale blue, which is a bit of a shame. Candidly, I'm expecting these to be a bit pulpy and a bit silly, and probably they won't be ones that once I've read them, that I probably won't want to keep them, unless I love them, and maybe I will. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm expecting them to be a giggle, and then I can move them on. So I'm not too fussed about that, but it is a shame because it is going to look a bit bad on the shelf. But never mind. Certainly, I'm not fussy enough about that one to try to replace it. So let's call that 2.5 out of 4. It was at least the correct book in the correct format, even if the condition is more good than very good. And then we've got Alien Light by Nancy Kress, which was listed as a hardback, and as you can see, is in fact a paperback. The only one of her books I've read is Beggars in Spain, and I really like that, and I've got several others that I must get to at some point. And it past me might have cared enough to complain and to try to get a refund, and I just can't be bothered to fight through the customer service thing. The average cost per book of these 4, with one of them being free, was £3.70 something. So, life's too short. So I'll live with that. That's fine. I ought to know better by now than to expect all 4 books to be as described. So that's let's call that 2.5 out of 4 success rate. Right, we've got a few more to do, and then I think I'll leave the PS Publishing Lucky Dip until last. So next, another sort of mixed group of books here. So when I was searching online for Eric Brown hardbacks, hoping to find sort of plug my novella collection, some gaps that I have, I found this instead, which is The Time-Lapsed Man and Other Stories, and it's not difficult to find, but it is a numbered limited edition from, I think, from Drunken Dragon Press, unusually, so not PS Publishing. It is Drunken Dragon, and it's got gilt edging on the text block, which is rather smart. It has a silk page marker, a bookmark, which is very nice, and it is signed. So this is number 93 of 100 copies, so fairly limited. I forget how much I paid for it, kind of £10-12, something like that, I think. So it wasn't outrageously expensive, and it's in absolutely fantastic condition, basically as new. So having said I didn't really need any more books with Eric Brown's signature in it, here's another book with Eric Brown's signature in it. And I really must read more of his stuff. I have read a couple and I've really enjoyed both of them. So that I will get to at some stage. Nice, very nice edition, nice win, not outrageously expensive. And if you've been watching the last couple of haul videos of mine, then last time around you'll have seen me banging on about these Sidgwick and Jackson editions from the late 1970s, I think through into 1980, and that there are an indeterminate number of them. And my current tally of them that I've been able to track down mention of online, I think there are 19. There could well be more, and I haven't stumbled across them yet. And amongst them was John Varley's Titan, which I do have it in a nothing special paperback, but I hadn't really paid too much attention to the images, or not close enough. So there is actually a flaw in the dust jacket, which was in the photo, so it's more for me for not looking closely. And also the spine is a bit faded. Normally the spine is a colour to match. So this should have been red, and it's faded out to yellow. So not a great condition edition of that. But so I've now got, let me count them. I think I've got 7 of these now. Yeah, 7, I think. And in a couple of months' time, Claire North, an author whose work I really like, has a new book out, and I was very intrigued because it's a space opera. And all of her other books, as far as I know, are all firmly earthbound. So this is a bit of a departure. So I'm very intrigued to see how she gets on with it. I don't do this very often because I don't like the pressure of feeling like I have to read it and on their timetable. But I did request an advanced reading copy of this. So Slow Gods is the name of the book. This is out in November, at least in the UK. I assume a similar time frame elsewhere in the world. And as I say, it's a space opera. I will probably want the hardback when it comes out myself, so I might move this on afterwards. But so I'll probably read this next month, just ahead of it being released here in the UK. And hopefully it's if any of the 2 or 3 of hers that I've read. If those are anything to go by, then this is going to be great. And I do like a space opera, so I'm intrigued by that. Apparently it's an astonishing, thought-provoking, and above all, touching story of found meaning and lost humanity. Now then, I have been busy building out my Ian MacDonald collection. I just had the last couple. You've seen the best of collection. And I had a copy of River of Gods in the large trade paperback, a bit dog-eared and beaten up from when I read it. It's probably been kicked around in a bag or something. So I've been trying to find the hardback edition of this, which turns out is quite uncommon these days, at least in nice condition. And I ran out of patience, essentially, or despaired of ever finding it in good condition. And then I saw one advertised. I think it's by Fantastic Literature, who have an online site as well, I think, as a shop, and they were selling it. I'm almost a bit embarrassed to say for £60, and I ummed and erred about whether I really wanted to spend £60. Having balked at spending £175 on the deluxe edition, but I figured £60 was a less obscene amount of money to spend on one book, and there is precedent for that elsewhere in my collection. So, eventually I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So, The River of Gods in the original hardback is the first edition. It's otherwise identical to the trade paperback, which I can now jettison. The trade paperbacks are £2 a penny. You can find those easy. So I'm just going to give this back. I'm going to give my original copy just to charities. It's not worth trying to sell. But this is unusual. And I either it must have had a small print run, or they all went to libraries or whatever. But to find one in approaching fine condition was really good. So this is from 2004. It's one of his better known books, which I have read, and I did enjoy it. So Ian MacDonald has become one of my favourite authors. I think I haven't read a book by him yet that I didn't like. I like his writing, and I like the things that he writes about. While I was up in Scotland, and you'll have seen it in the August book haul video, I picked up Spin Control by Chris Moriarty, which is actually the second of a duology, or a diptych of which the opening book of which is Spin State, and I got them a bit mixed up in my head. I thought I was getting the first one. In fact, I bought the second one. So I was just idly searching for the same kind of edition. It's a Bantam Spectra edition of Spin State, which I've now got, which I think I paid £4 or £5 for, and it's in really nice condition. So that completes the set. So I'll be able to read those at some point. It's space opera from the 2003 originally. So this edition 2004, and I don't think there was a UK edition. So this is the US Bantam Spectra. Spin State. Again, if you've watched the last couple of haul videos, you'd have seen me banging on about these Gollancz binary editions, and this is binary 5. I thought there were only 4, and I was under that impression because in the ISFDB database, there's a group of 4 of them under that series, and so I got hold of those 4, having already found one of them in a charity shop, and then someone else let me know in the comments to that video, I think, that I know there's a 5th, which contains The Human Factor by Ken MacLeod and A Writer's Life, I think it is, by Eric Brown. So there are 5, and I believe only 5 of these kind of DOS type, like the ace doubles, these binaries, and so I'm very happy to have that. I think I've already got a copy of Human Factor in a volume of collected works of Ken MacLeod, so I kind of already got it. But because it's in this format, and because I've got the other 4, clearly I can't possibly exist in a world where I've only got 4 out of the available 5. So I now have all 5. So that's cool in the gang. And talking about completing sets, 2 or 3 months back now, I did a video with an overview of all of my Pan Lozenge books, so called, and somebody pointed out that I seem to be missing The People Trap by Robert Sheckley, and I looked at my spreadsheet. Oh no, I've got that. Couldn't find it on the shelves anywhere, so I think I've just mistakenly marked that as acquired. So Bruce, I think it is, in Australia somewhere, offered to send this to us. So very kindly they popped this in the post, which is a non-trivial matter from Australia. It's not cheap and it takes a while, but within a week it arrived. So thank you very much again to Bruce for sending that. That's awesome. So I do now have, I'm a little bit sheepish to say that I was missing one when I thought I had them all, but I do now have the full set, honest gov, of these Pan science fiction books. Very nice. Thank you again, Bruce. That's awesome. And then with my Broken Binding subscription, which sends me a book every 2 months, and I don't know what it's going to be until nearer to the time that it arrives. This time around, they sent me The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell, and that's a book that I read last year, I think, and maybe earlier this year, and enjoyed. And I've also read The Children of God now, which I did enjoy, but probably not as much, as it wasn't as impactful, I thought, as The Sparrow. But anyway, so I think it's pretty much guaranteed that the next book, which should come to me in October, will be the sequel, Children of God. So I'll have a full set Broken Binding editions of those, and I could probably jettison the paperbacks that I've now got. And as usual with Broken Binding, it's got the sprayed edges, or spreadges, as I saw someone referring to them. So these are sometimes they've only got one colour on the top and the bottom, but this one's got the design on it. So very cool, and it's got decorated end papers. So it's the crew, decorated end papers with one of the bigger aliens and a priest. And I think I might be saying that this one is signed. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. I say signed. Frankly, I think Mary has done a bit of a lazy job here. She's just scrawled her initials. But, she's put her paw print on it, so I can't complain. So, The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell in the special edition, but not limited. So they're not numbered. And then earlier in the summer, we're about to look at my PS Lucky Dip from their Drugstore Indian Press sale. So Drugstore Indian Press is an imprint of PS Publishing. They have 2 or 3 actually. They had a sale earlier in the summer, which just reduced the cost of quite a lot of their books, and there were 4 that I liked the look of, so I got them. So the first is the Alice Encounter, which I bought mainly on the strength of the cover, if I'm completely honest, by John Gribbin. And then they had 2 flash fiction books by Michael Swanwick, which collect a bunch of very short, sort of 1 or 2 page maximum short stories. And the first of them is the periodic table of science fiction. And I think these were issued sort of 1 a day or 1 periodically on a website initially, and they've been collected here. And as the name suggests, there's one story per element in the periodic table. And again, I like the cover of this one. And in common with the other Swanwick book, and with the others that come in the Lucky Dip, we'll see in a minute, they all have these French flaps, and they're quite substantial paperback cover as well. So they feel like a well-made book. And this isn't signed or anything special. So it's just got, as I say, they're a page and a half, sometimes less than a page. Punchy short stories, the kind of shortest format that you can really have, I think, and so there's 120 odd of them in this book. Michael Swanwick, of course, the author of things like Stations of the Tide and other things, and then there's another one that came as a bundle with that is Sleep of Reason by Michael Swanwick, and I think this one is themed around Goya's etchings. So in here is one of the etchings by Goya, and then a short story or flash fiction short story to go with it, as far as I can tell. I think that's what it is. And it's not even a full page, it's more like a newspaper column. And in fact, that might have been where they initially came from. Let's have a look. Yes, so it was, he done these at the request of the Infinite Matrix, an online magazine of science fiction and fantasy, and he committed to serializing stories for each of the 80 etchings in the series, 1 per week for over a year and a half. So these stories, which is why it's in column inches and not pages. And the stories have been collected here in physical form for the first time ever, along with the visions, the etchings, that inspired them. I really wanted the periodic table one, but this came with it, so I'll happily read that at some point. I'll dip into it from time to time. And then a book I'm very intrigued by is The Very Best of Geoffrey Ford, so it's a short story collection by an author I hadn't really heard of, but I really like the cover of this, and I stared at it for a long time. So it's a very nice book, and it's a hardback, and it's again printed on the laminated boards. And I think I paid £4 or £5 for this, and it's very nice. All of these are new, and somebody, I forget who it was now. Maybe Tade Thompson that I was chatting to on Bluesky about it, and he said that Geoffrey Ford is a lovely chap, but also his stories are fabulous. So I was very intrigued, and the artwork is by his son Derek Ford, and as well as the cover, there are at the beginning of each story a little sketch, which Derek Ford also did. So that's a really lovely book, and I trust that the stories are also good too. So that's those. And now I have a confession to make. Unlike the NewCon Press box set that we looked at earlier on, for this Lucky Dip, I knew there was going to be a gap of 2 or 3 days between me receiving it and filming this, and I just didn't have the patience to wait. So I've actually already opened it and gone through the books to see what there was. And a bit like the NewCon Press books, I do already have several PS books. I was taking a risk in some respects, but not that big a risk because the books were only £1 each, that there might be duplicates. And actually not too many. So there were 2. So the ones that I already had are Extra Solar, which is a short stories inspired by the exoplanets that the Kepler telescope and amongst others have found. And again, I think all of these have the French flaps, and they're all lovely books. And they were £1 each, maybe closer to £1.40, I suppose, including postage. But I already have this, so that's no good to me. I should move that on. And similarly, I already have The Complete Rhinoceros Volume 3, which is actually non-fiction. It's the author, whose name I forget now, Terry Dowling, talking about what inspired him to write the stories and the process of writing it and what he intended when he was writing them. Of the contents of the other 2 volumes, so this Volume 3 is slender in comparison. So I already have that. So those 2 were sort of busts as far as that's concerned. And because, unlike the NewCon Press one, where I was able to specify that I want science fiction books, and they all were science fiction, with this one I didn't have that choice. It was a lucky dip of the Drugstore Indian Press range. It's Robert Silverberg collection. Was it Monsters and Things? And as he explains in the opening sort of foreword for the book, Robert Silverberg was a prolific writer, and in his early days, in the late 1950s, he wrote something like 1 million words a year under several pseudonyms, and he was sort of milking the magazine era and getting stories published all over the place. And in the late 1950s, I'm not sure if they were under a pseudonym or not, but he wrote a bunch of what I'm sure are probably quite pulpy, as you can probably tell from the image, pulpy horror stories, and this is a collection of those. And these have titles like Call Me Zombie, The Man Who Believed in Werewolves, Coffins Are for Corpses, Find Me a Victim, Vampires from Outer Space. I'm always fond of a vampire. The Day the Monsters Broke Loose, Planet of the Angry Giants. So as you can tell, they're sort of they're quite pulpy, but that's interesting. I should really dip into that and read a few of those. The next one is a novel, and I think it's more along the supernatural horror lines. It's Forever Conrad by, who is it, Martin Goodman. And this is a vampire story, I think. A baby boy is plucked from the deck of a North Sea ferry. He's any mother's dream, blah, blah, blah. But news of the boy on his 18th birthday, news of the boy's existence spreads across Europe. And Conrad, charged with writing the true stories of his kind, is roused from a century-long Bavarian nap. And he tracks the boy's parentage across Belgium and then heads for East Yorkshire. Forever Conrad. And then, funnily enough, I almost considered this to be a duplicate, but as I only have 2 of these novellas in the Telemas Quartet in hardback, I figured that at least for now, because the others are quite hard to come by, quite expensive. You can get them, but they're £25-30. At least if I want to read them, I can now with this paperback edition. So for now, I'll hang on to this, and when I complete the set of the hardbacks, then I can get rid of this. But so that has all 4 in, plus the coda, which is really a short story, collected into 1 volume. With some very nice artwork on the front, and again with the French flaps. And again, the covers on these are quite substantial. They're kind of glossy. It feels like a very well put together paperback. This is another horror collection, and this time by Simon Kurt Unsworth, called Strange Gateways. So short stories in sort of horror subgenre. The next one is Scar Tissue by James Cooper, and this apparently is a short story collection or novella collection of short stories inspired by the dark fiction greats, the likes of Stephen King, Peter Straub, Clive Barker, Daphne du Maurier has got a mention here. What else have we got here? Robert McCammon. So each of them has a little introduction and then the story, and they're stories inspired by those other authors. So there's quite a bit of horror involved here. So this is the best new horror. So it's an anthology. Edited by Stephen Jones. So this has got a few from Ramsey Campbell. It's got Harlan Ellison, Paul Macaulay, Neil Gaiman, and a Peter Straub. So, more horror short stories. And back in the day, I read quite a lot of horror fiction, certainly quite a lot of Stephen King and Peter Straub, actually. So, I'm not averse. And then, interestingly, I thought I recognised the name. It's a novel by Alan Ayckbourn, and if you're in the UK, you'll recognise the name. He's a playwright, and has 70 or 80 plays to his name, and that's what he's known for. But this is his first novel, and it's kind of a science fiction novel. So it's set in some kind of dystopian society. And it's sort of found footage in a book, if that makes sense. So it's lots of press clippings, diary entries, and so on. And then finally, we've got PS Publishing. Amongst the many things they do, they have I think it's only an online only magazine collecting. It comes out, I think, once a month, that has for which they commission short fiction. And in a bit of a crossover, it's actually edited by Ian Waits, who is the proprietor of NewCon Press. And so he's doing a bit of work here on the side for PS Publishing as an editor. So Parsec, again, with the French flaps, very substantial paperback. And this will be science fiction. I think science fiction, maybe a bit of fantasy. So this one's got a Ken MacLeod short story, Lavi Tidar, Kim Lakin, Adrian Tchaikovsky, Alia Whitley, the aforementioned Joanne Harris, of all things, Gwyneth Jones, Ramsey Campbell, Paul DeFilippo, actually. So a bunch of, pretty well-known names. So, should be good quality of story. So that's everything I've added to my shelves this month. And we'll be back again for a book haul in the middle of, what month are we in now? October it will be. Do let me know if any of those take your fancy. But otherwise, as usual, thank you for watching. And until next time, goodbye for now.